Hey everybody, this is Ben League with HM Cragg, and I'm along with Scott Missling, my counterpart in the Upper Midwest, and we really appreciate you guys hopping on today. We're going to show you guys a new product offering that we have that we think is pretty cool and no pun intended, and can be pretty useful in some of the environments that we're dealing with nowadays, and we're finding people wanting to put UPSs. So we have Jim Magallanes with us from Technicool. Jim, we've been working with Jim on various different product offerings over the years, and he's always kind of out in front of this sort of thing. And we're really looking forward to this presentation and hopefully giving you guys an opportunity to go out there and offer your customers some a really interesting cooling option for different environments. Scotty?
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for the introduction. I guess all I have to add is a couple housekeeping things. Looks like we're going to be muted for most of the webinar, I believe. But if you have any questions, we strongly encourage you to use the chat box. And at the end of the call, we'll open it up to, we'll unmute everybody and do some question and answers at that point as well. So I can't think of anything else. Let's get it started. Jim, you can grab the reins and take it from here.
Great, thanks Ben and Scott. I appreciate the introduction. Like they mentioned, my name is Jim Magallanes. I'm the president of Technicool Innovations. Give you a little background on myself. I've been in the industry for about 26 years now, specializing in cooling small server rooms, and I'm excited to introduce you guys to a new our latest rack mount air conditioner, EdgeCool. So with that, I'll start the presentation. Hold on a second, sorry about this. How come it's not moving? There you go, sorry about that. So we'll be talking about the Denso, who manufactures EdgeCool, and Technicool Innovations, our partnership that brought the EdgeCool to life here. Go into a little bit about the air conditioner itself, the different markets that we see it going into in the environments, how this unit's installed inside the rack, applications, how we compare with what we see the largest market share product of the mini split air conditioner out there, and then what we have for our product roadmap, what's down the road for us, and then the different opportunities that it provides for you guys, the system integrators out there. So with that, I'll start it off here. And sorry, it's sticking a little bit here, but let me get through that. So EdgeCool 5 Series rack mount air conditioner. It's a targeted cooling. It gives you ultra efficiency. We're cooling down the rack and not the room. So that's why it's really efficient there mostly. We're adding to existing racks. You can move it anywhere. You're basically turning your rack into an efficient server room just with the rack itself. And then obviously we're looking for continuous operation. We're giving you that reliability year round, and it's designed with the Denso dependability for everything, primary, supplemental, and backup cooling. I'll go a little bit into the Denso dependability here in a second here. To give you a little bit of background on Denso, they are the manufacturers of Move and Cool. If you're familiar with them, they are the #1 spot cooling solution out there, probably for the last 3 or 4 decades now. They started producing those portable air conditioners in early 1980s, and that's what they're known for in our industry. But they're a tier 1 automotive supplier with about $50 billion in revenue each year. So they're a lot bigger company. They actually are the largest air conditioner manufacturer in the world. They specialize in air conditioning systems for automotive. And so you combine that with the portable units, the ceiling mounted units, and the industrial spot coolers that they offer. That makes them the largest manufacturer of air conditioners in the world. They're really familiar with data center cooling, people, and process cooling. And give you a little background on my company, Technicool Innovations. We specialize in air conditioned racks. Uptime Racks was a brand of ours that we still sell, but we've introduced maybe 10 years ago. We have a couple different series from that, the MRCS 13 series and the ECC 13 series. And actually it's a modified move and cool ceiling mounted unit, a 1-ton unit that goes into a custom housing. And from that, we learned that, you know, there's a bigger opportunity out there for a rack mount air conditioner that will fit into any standard server rack. And so we brought this idea to Denso. We entered into a 50-50 joint development agreement for engineering. So we engineered the product together. And then for distribution, they are manufacturing it in Japan. And then we are the exclusive rep going through HM Cragg to sell this, to get this out to end users. So it's been a good partnership so far. And what is the EdgeCool rack mount air conditioner? Well, it's a split system air conditioner, meaning it has two different components, an evaporator unit and a condenser unit. And the cooling capacity is 15,400 BTUs with a sensible cooling of about 4 kilowatts. It operates on 115 volts and a 20 amp circuit. So it has that 5-20 plug on there. And it works with any type of rack, whether it's a commercial datacom rack where you have the perforated front and back doors, industrial server racks where it's NEMA rated to keep out dust and water, or an open rack, helping with, you know, the maintenance on the IT network or the VoIP, the telecommunications equipment inside. So what happens is you combine the air conditioner, the server rack, and then that's the complete solution. And again, we're being installed into new racks or existing racks. And that's kind of what set us apart for the from Uptime Racks, is where the Uptime Racks air conditioned server racks that we produce, that's just for new racks. And this is allowing us to go into existing racks, which opened up a whole new market for us. So to go into a little bit more detail about our system, the evaporator, we're delivering cold air with the evaporator unit. It's always located at the bottom of the rack, and it occupies 8 U of rack space in there. Again, we're blowing cold air up in the front. We're capturing the warmest air in the back. That's our return for the evaporator unit. And then we can also cool down multiple racks as well. So you can see there, the primary cooling is in the front. It'll blow up right here in that rack itself. But there's also optional grills on the side here, and you can blow out cold air from the sides to cool down maybe 3 racks total. The condenser unit, this transfers the heat from inside the rack to away outside the room or just in the warehouse, wherever, whatever location you're putting it into. So there's a couple different ways you can install the condenser unit. It can go inside the rack, and this occupies about 10 U of rack space. And so that's more of a portability install where you don't have a ton of IT equipment. You can put it inside the rack and cool it down that way. So the 10 U of rack space for the condenser and the 8 U of evaporator space, you're occupying about 18 U of rack space there. You can also put it on top of the rack. So this mounts on top of any standard rack. And that way you're maximizing space inside the rack for the IT equipment. And lastly, you can put it remotely. So you can do it somewhere nearby inside the building for more permanent installation. And we're pretty proud that we've received 2 patents on this design, one in 2020 and one in 2019 when we were developing the 5 series. So that gives us pretty good protection against our competitors and sets us apart from everybody else out there. And just recently, I'd like to share this. Just this month in August, Mission Critical magazine awarded EdgeCool as one of their top tier products of the year for 2022. We won in the Edge Technologies category, and this is mission critical awards their infrastructure products, whether that's power or air conditioning or security, safety, things of that nature. And this year they really looked for sustainable solutions in mission critical space. They're proud to recognize the industry's most cutting edge products, innovations that will make it possible for us to reduce our carbon footprint safely, efficiently, and reliably at scale in a small space. And that's from their publisher, Sarah Harding. So we're really proud to win that and excited. So we're looking to push that through, get that, use that, leverage that excellent public relations there to build more awareness on our product and share with our customers. So thought I'd share that with you guys as well. And so how this operates, I mentioned that the evaporator goes into the bottom of the rack, and this is what's supplying the cold air down here. As you can see, it's blowing up cold air in the front of the IT equipment. The IT equipment has their own internal fan system, so they draw in that cold air that's situated right in front of their rack. And as it goes across their internal circuits, it heats up the air and exhausts it out the back. That hot air in the back is then captured down into the into the evaporator unit again, and just starts that cycle off again. And this is showing the evaporator, the condenser unit inside the rack installed. And this gets in outside air, brings that in, absorbs that heat from the that's being produced inside the rack, and then that red arrow shows it's exhausted outside the room or outside the rack itself. And so why this makes it highly efficient? One, it's a closed loop cooling system. You can think of your refrigerator, thinking of shutting the door to your refrigerator and keeping that cold air just circulated inside the rack. You're not introducing any type of outside heat to that space to be cooled. Next is we're spot cooling the rack and not cooling down the room. So that's really efficient. We're targeting our cooling within that rack only. Next is the close coupled cooling. We're actually bringing cooling directly to the heat source. So you can think of the larger data centers where they have the perimeter cooling, that raised flooring where they blow the cold air underneath the flooring, and it pops up through the floor tiles in front of the racks. There's lots of different places where that warm air and cold air will mix, and it's not very efficient. Also, the ceiling, the mini split air conditioner, you have that on the wall and you're blowing cold air in, and you're just mixing that cold air with hot air. And again, it's not really efficient way to cool it down. And so that's key. We have an inherent cold aisle, hot aisle airflow pattern going on within the rack. So that's a best practice within data centers, larger data centers, where they have rows and rows of cabinets, and they have cabinets facing each other. So there's a cold aisle where all the fronts are facing, and then a hot aisle where all the backs are facing. We're doing the same thing here within our rack. And so we're bringing that efficiency from that's been going on in the bigger data centers down to the rack level here. And then high sensible cooling. Sensible cooling is temperature drops. Our systems are designed to produce as much sensible cooling as possible, whereas maybe a mini split system, they're more for comfort cooling, meaning that they cool down, they're designed to cool down people. And some of their cooling or a lot of their cooling is broken down into latent cooling, which is actually removing moisture from the air, and that helps people cool down. Not as much as a sensible cooling for IT equipment. So IT equipment really needs that high temperature drop, and so that's what we're bringing with our EdgeCool air conditioner. And lastly, we have a variable speed fan in there, meaning that the evaporator unit has a fan in there that can go up from 100% of airflow volume all the way down to 30% airflow volume. So depending on the heat load within the rack, our fan system will adjust to that heat load, so we can match that heat load a little bit better. So the markets that we find ourselves playing in is the small data center market. This is a traditional market that's maybe 1.5 tons of cooling or less that's required. Floor space is a premium, so it could be anywhere from a coat closet to a storage room. Lots of different, usually these small data centers are an afterthought, so it's whatever space they have that they can put their rack in. A lot of times these are difficult to cool spots. They're remotely located in the building, and if it is a lease space, portability for the EdgeCool rack mount air conditioner is a key benefit for this, because it's not a leasehold improvement. You're not putting in an air conditioner that stays with that building once you leave in 3-5 years. So that's very helpful to bring that with you. Some higher growth opportunities that we see is edge computing or micro data centers. This has been growing exponentially in the last few years now, where they're actually bringing application, the data, and the computing to a local level. You can think of the cloud where they're centralized all their data center operations. Edge computing is a decentralized approach to this. They're putting in small data centers all across the region, locally to where this data is being consumed, where these applications are being produced. Gartner, which is a big IT industry think tank or consultancy agency, they're predicting 75% of the enterprise generated data will be created and processed outside a traditional centralized data center by 2025. So that's just a few years down the road here, and that's a huge amount. So we see this market really exploding here. And what brings the benefit that these edge computing data centers bring, it lowers the latency. So latency is the time it takes for the information to travel from your device, if it's an IoT, Internet of Things device, to go to the data center and back. So if you have your data center centralized in, a cold location, say Canada, that time it takes up there to go to the data center and back, those milliseconds really count way on those applications. So you're looking to cut down those milliseconds down to nanoseconds if possible. And that really helps with search engines, just anything that goes along with those applications. High bandwidth, you think of all the streaming devices, Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime. If you have all this content stored in one centralized location, you're clogging up the highway to get that. So you'll have that spinning buffering wheel that just slows down that the streaming, downloading that content. So if you can store that content into several different locations, thousands of different locations in these small edge computing networks, it brings down that time it takes to download that content. And then data regulations. If you think of financial regulations, healthcare regulations, where those data records, the privacy is key, and you need to have that within a certain region. And then next is the industrial IT cooling, smart factories, fulfillment centers, Industry 4.0. We see them bringing this type of equipment down to the factory floor, down to the warehouse, and having a micro data center with an EdgeCool unit is key for that. Lastly is the turnkey IT solutions. Rapid deployment of these decentralized micro data centers. We're shipping pre-populated racks with IT, cooling, power, and the rack itself. So all the different infrastructure and the network is shipped pre-populated. And lastly, there's been a focus on energy efficiency within large data centers. And now the shift has been going into these small data centers where it's their track record with efficiency has been pretty poor. These small data centers make up about 50% of the total data center energy that's is being consumed. So you think of the Amazons, all the different cloud networks out there, and they're doing a lot of computing, but all these small data centers is a drag on the system as well. And a lot of times, 50% of the total energy being consumed in these data centers is for cooling. So if we can make that efficient, we're making huge steps to lower their energy use in these data centers. A couple different environments just to give you an idea for edge computing. Healthcare is a big one. A lot of times these hospitals have multiple data centers, MDF, IDF rooms. A lot of times it may be on each floor of a hospital. Computing, they use imaging, artificial intelligence, regulations. They want to keep those medical records at the specific location. So they're bringing their networks there. Latency, assisted surgery, telemedicine, they all need, latency is key for those type of applications. Next is the warehouse and fulfillment centers. E-commerce growth, as you can realize, it's exploded since pandemic levels and since the pandemic. And the amount of orders that they process in a day to get out to deliver the next day or the following day is key. And they're bringing these devices, automation devices, down out to the warehouse floors. And all this, the IT equipment needs to be protected, whether it's from the high temperatures out there or the contaminants. So having that into an industrial NEMA rated cabinet is really beneficial for that. Next is the retail sector. Omni-channel retail trend, meaning that you can buy the same things several different ways, whether it's online or in store. You can think of Home Depot, where you can check online what they have. You can order it up online. You can pick it up at the store, or you can actually just find out how many pieces they have of the product that you're looking to buy, where it's located, what bay, what aisle. All this needs IT equipment at each store, and a lot of times there's no specific data center room within these stores. Maybe they're doing a mixed room, so they have a break room with their IT equipment within that room, and that needs to have some type of security. So you're putting the IT equipment plus the cooling, the UPS, everything you're putting in there behind a locked server rack, and that helps with just human errors. Maybe something goes down because somebody hits a button or pulls out a wire or something like that. That's really key. And like I mentioned before, manufacturing industry 4.0, they're bringing these expensive, high capital assets onto the floor, which have sensors, industrial Internet of Things, where they're preventive maintenance. They're telling these sensors are reading, gathering information, and preventing downtime. So they're improving the processes, they're maintaining their systems with preventive maintenance, and they're responding real time to these issues based on the sensors, what they're gathering. So how is the unit installed physically? The condenser unit, like I mentioned before, is installed inside the rack, on top of the rack, or remotely. And this picture shows it showing remotely. This customer had really low ceilings. They just had enough clearance for the rack itself, so they put it right next to the rack. The unit requires, it weighs about 110 pounds, so requires a lift to help you get up there. The evaporator unit weighs about 60 pounds. It slides right in the bottom through some rack mount kits. The condenser and the evaporator, they're coupled together with refrigeration pipes, copper pipes, 1/2 inch for the suction pipe and a 3/8 inch for the liquid side. From there, you put in the electrical wire harnesses. One has power going to the evaporator unit, and the other one has a signal line for the evaporator fan system. The condenser unit has a 5-20 plug on there, so you plug that into any outlet, dedicated outlet. Once you have that connected, you hook up your peripheral devices, accessories. So the controller, the ducting that's required, a condensate pump that goes inside the rack. Once those are all set up, you go into your refrigeration process. You put a vacuum pump onto these valves here. You vacuum out the pipes that you connected and the evaporator system here. Once that's done, the condenser unit is pre-charged with refrigeration. So you just open up these valves, you release the refrigerant, put it into the whole system, you check for leaks, and you're ready to go. You're ready for cooling. And so all this install, what I just outlined there, can be installed in the field with new and existing racks. condenser unit installation, evaporator unit installation, coupling the units together, attaching the peripheral devices, accessories, doing the refrigeration process. That can be done by an HVAC contractor out in the field. Or we can work with HM Cragg on doing a lot of this process at their warehouse, at their site, condenser unit installation, evaporator unit installation, and coupling the units together. So shipping this unit, this rack, pre-populated with the EdgeCool unit, and maybe some equipment inside there, whether it's UPS or IT equipment. We can ship that directly to the end user. Once it's shipped there, they can roll into place, get an HVAC contractor just to set up the peripheral devices, whether it's the condensate pump or the ducting, quickly do the refrigeration process, and have that operating in a short time. So the checklist on how you integrate this unit into your customer service, into your customer's building. You want to check the server rack, make sure that minimum of 8 U of evaporator space in there. What type of rack is going datacom, open, industrial. Make sure that we're cooling down about minimum of 3 racks there, or maximum of 3 racks. 4 kilowatts of sensible cooling, exhaust air. We're removing the warm exhaust air from the enclosed room. Our system's capable of long duct runs. We have 1 inch of water gauge at a 12-inch duct there. Condensation removal. We're pumping to a drain or sink or water line somewhere. We will have 20 feet of vertical lift on this pump, meaning that it can go up 20 feet, and then horizontally for longer runs to like a break room or a bathroom somewhere nearby. And then the power requirement for this, we're operating again 115 volt, 20 amp circuit with a 5-20 plug. Oops, excuse me. This is how it's going to be looking most of the time. About 90% of the time, we're the racks inside are a small room. They maybe have ducted forced cold supply air coming into the room, and then they have a free return air system. We'll put in the EdgeCool unit. We'll put some ducting up into the drop ceiling, and then put the warm air up there. The building air handling system will take that back and condition it. That's a very simple installation, and that's going on most of the time. There's a small sensible heat load on the building in the summer months. Exhaust air can be used to heat space in a winter month. So in Minnesota, that could be going to a warehouse to heat up that space as well. The next would be a building ducted warm return system. So instead of just ducting the air up into the drop ceiling plenum, you have that cold air coming down only for business days. It doesn't operate nights or weekends. So we would put in EdgeCool unit here, and we'd have to duct that warm air out to the outside the building or to a warehouse that can absorb that warm air. Again, we can use that heat in unconditioned spaces like warehouses during the winter months and helping them out as well. Airflow management, we have some accessories that customers can use to actually improve the efficiency of the EdgeCool unit. Cold air containment panels. So as you can see here, we have some acrylic panels on the front side of the unit, and that's actually keeping that cold air trapped inside there. This is a typical datacom rack with perforated doors, and we're keeping that cold air sealed inside there. It improves the efficiency, lowers the energy costs, and prevents contaminants from entering the rack. The only con on there is it's hindering fresh air from entering during AC if there's a power outage or a failure somewhere, so you physically have to remove those panels. We also have hot air containment panels that customers can put on the back rear doors as well. Again, it's acrylic panels with magnets that just snap on to the inside of the door. These snap on the outside of the door. They're really simple to attach, and then the only thing again is improves all the efficiencies, but also you need to remove those physically if something happens. Again, more airflow management accessories. Everybody knows about standard blanking panels, 1U, 2U. We want to keep those into the rack to prevent mixing from the warm air and the cold air. You can also put in, if the unit's installed inside, the condenser unit's installed inside the rack, We also can put in a acrylic panel there to prevent, again, warm air from mixing with cold air. We also have a vertical panel right below that, so the cold air coming from the bottom of the evaporator unit just keeps that cold air in front of the IT equipment instead of going up into the top of the rack. And then also, if you're going into an existing server rack and you're putting the condenser unit inside the rack itself, you'll want to put some type of panel on top. And this is showing an acrylic panel that just mounts on top, very simple to install. Applications we've seen out there. We're working with credit unions right now. They have over 300 unit locations. All their branch locations, they want to standardize their network and infrastructure. So we're putting cooling, the rack, the power, we're standardizing all that. We're simplifying the training. We're doing remote troubleshooting from their headquarters, reducing spare parts for backup and redundancy. And then we have that rapid deployment with these units shipping pre-populated to their branches. Similar applications would be retail stores. We worked with manufacturer with industrial for food service, disposable tableware, and food packaging. They wanted to increase their volume of this production, so they're moving automation equipment onto the floor. So we put them into a NEMA 12 rated cabinet, so they're protected on the production floor. They like our internal closed loop cooling system and the ease of installation and maintenance of the system as well. Again, similar applications are warehouse, fulfillment centers, remote locations, petro mining systems. One application I didn't see really coming was mid-sized data center opportunities. And this is coming as a result of supply chain issues. So long lead times for crack units. An engineer might specify a Vertiv, data air, Stolz unit, these big crack units. And EdgeCool could be an alternative because of these long lead times. So for a permanent installation, we could be used as primary, supplemental, or redundant cooling. Phase 1, we could be the EdgeCool, could be primary air conditioning, and phase 2 could be used as backup because of the long lead time. So what we've seen is working with FedEx, they have a distribution center. They have a 10-ton heat load in their data center, 35 kilowatts, and a 450 square foot data center. They specified 2 10-ton units, Vertiv units, but the lead time was 6 months, and they're also looking for 2 end redundancy. So what they were looking at is using EdgeCool as alternative. So putting 8 EdgeCool units in there, we're meeting their heat load inside the data center, and EdgeCool will be primary until the crack units, until the Vertiv unit comes. So they're doing 1 10-ton unit now and 8 EdgeCool units. Data center is going into a large warehouse. The EdgeCool units condensers are actually being installed on the floor, on the roof of the data center within the warehouse. How we stack up to mini split systems. We think mini split systems have the largest market share now. Efficiency wise, we're delivering targeted cooling, have high sensible cooling, and we're separating hot aisle and cold aisle air. So all these are a plus for EdgeCool. Mini split systems just doesn't work that way. So they're not really efficient that way. Installation, we're installed inside the room. We don't take up any additional floor space, and we're not doing any building modifications. So with a mini split system, you're putting the condenser unit outside the building. So you're going through exterior walls, roofs, so all places where leaks can happen, just a little bit harder for that installation. Versatility, we're both cooling down office spaces. We're cooling down harsh conditions in industrial systems. They'd have to build a small room to cool down an industrial space. So that's not really a benefit of that. We only have the 1.5 ton coolings for our EdgeCool right now. So we use that as a negative. They have multiple systems that cool down 1 to 5 tons of cooling. So that's a plus. Our reliability, we're designed for continuous cooling year-round, 24/7 operation. Mini split systems are comfort cooling, so they're mainly designed for summer months and not 24/7, 365 days a year. We're cooling in extreme outdoor conditions, really low temperatures. So Minnesota, if the outside temperature is -10 degrees, we're cooling down that no problem because our condenser unit's inside the building. Sometimes the mini split systems have issues with that. Portability, not a leasehold improvement. We move on the factory floor. We can move once the lease is up. So mini split systems just don't have that benefit to them. And then the total cost of installation price. So this is the installation price of the HVAC contractor going in and installing both systems. It's about $6,000 to $8,000 depending on the building for both systems. So the benefits that EdgeCool brings plus about the same price of a mini split system, we feel pretty confident that we'll do well against them. What we're doing down the road here, we're right now, with the EdgeCool 5 series, we have 4.5 kilowatts of total cooling. Next would be a higher 1-to-1 model. Again, these are 1 evaporator unit to 1 condenser unit. We're looking to come out with a 2-ton unit, 24,000 BTUs, 7 kilowatts of cooling, operating at 230 volts, 20 amp circuit. This would be higher density racks, multiple racks. Again, you still have the simple installation and portability that comes along with it. After that, we're looking to do a variable refrigerant flow. So 1 condenser with multiple different evaporators. So the evaporators could be either the 5 series or the 7 series. And that allows us for modularity, maybe installing 1 or 2 of these evaporator units to begin with, but then adding more as they grow their network. So this will be down the road though. And then lastly, what we see is for integration success, you're ensuring IT equipment is properly cooled with your projects. So if you're adding EdgeCool system to their projects, you're increasing the reliability, life of the equipment, you're making the customer happy, you're integrating the projects, maybe increasing the heat load. So you may need to add more cooling. The existing AC system can't handle the increased heat load, or supplemental cooling with the EdgeCool. Mission critical integration projects, you're adding EdgeCool for redundancy for your cooling, so 2N redundancy maybe. And then lastly, you're increasing your company's value. You're having a one-stop shop. You're one supplier, you're offering multiple different products. And so Denso, the Technicool Innovations, we are, have success in this market with the MoveCool, #1 portable cooling solution. And TCI has been experts in the rack mount air conditioning for a long time now. We have 18 years specialization. So we're here to help you guys grow your business and help you integrate these EdgeCool units into your customer projects. Sorry, I've exceeded my time a little bit here. I was hoping to end a little bit quicker, but if you guys have any questions, I'd love to answer them with the remaining time I have.
All right. Well, thank you, Jim. This is Dan Loftus from HM Cragg. I'm going to unmute everybody. So you now have the ability to unmute yourself and ask a question. If anybody has any questions for Jim, welcome to ask right now. Jim, it looks like you covered all the bases here. You did a good job.
I do have one question.
Okay.
This is Steve Carlson. I'm just checking to see on what's the inventory status and lead times for these products.
Jim, you want to take that one?
Sorry, forgot to unmute myself. Denso has units in stock in California, and I believe HM Cragg has units in stock in Minnesota. So
We do.
Short turnaround times for orders if you guys get it.
That's great. Thank you.
Yep. How many do you need today, Steve?
I'm actually working on a couple projects now, so
Awesome.
we'll hopefully sell a couple of these.
Great. If your customer has any questions on integrating them, Steve, please reach out to me or HM Cragg and see if I can help out in any way. I'd be happy to.
Sounds great. I will do that. I'm in contact with HM Cragg now, and we'll bring you in if we get more technical. That sounds great.
Okay.
Yep. And Jim,
This
I think that's
is Rick from Thermobond. I have a question. Just what's available on alarm and reporting for remote monitoring? Is there something available within the product?
Yes, we have some locations where you can hook up to the building management system. You send it alarms if something's happened to the unit, or shut off the EdgeCool unit if say there's a fire within the building, something like that. That's what we have right now. We're actually working on a system for remote connectivity where that should be rolling out maybe the first quarter of 2023, where an end user can actually go to a website to check on how it's doing, send the end user alarms if the temperatures inside the rack get to a certain level, too high of a level. So we're in the process of rolling that out, and that should come first quarter of 2023.
Very good. Thank you, Jim.
Yep.
any other
I have a
questions?
question. Yeah, I have a question. Yeah, this is John from Mirapath. So I'm assuming the cabinets that the EdgeCool could be fit into any existing cabinet. Does HM Cragg have a cabinet that can have this already pre-integrated at the factory versus having this done on site?
Yeah, so HM Cragg can put it into an existing cabinet, ship it pre-installed to your customer's location.
Okay.
Any others? All right. Well, thank you so much, Jim. Good information. At HM Cragg, we're really excited to be partnered with you on this product. Scott and Ben, any last words before we leave?
Yeah, I would just like to say that this is Ben Lee, and I think there are some great opportunities out there for not only new applications, but also retrofitting in case somebody's currently having an issue and their UPS is dying every year and they can't figure out why, and it's because it's too hot or whatever that happens to be. Also, in terms of the monitoring, I think most of you are aware that there's an environmental and temperature monitor. It's a small appliance that can be used with a network card within with a UPS that could send an alarm in case there's a temperature issue. So there are some other monitoring devices that are available that could work in concert with the EdgeCool until their monitoring is available. So there's certainly a lot of different opportunities out there for this product, and we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. This is Scott. We're very excited about this product. There's lots of applications out there for it. I think we covered all of those very well. I guess all I would add to everything is thank you everyone for your time. It's 45 minutes out of your day, and hopefully it was of benefit, and we appreciate everyone on the call.
All right. Thanks again for joining, everybody.